Edge Designations, FRM Part 1, Revision and Exam Program for the 2022 exam cycle. Let's get going straight away. And in this video, first of all, let me introduce myself. I head up the program. My name is Russell Jude. I am an FRM charter holder, among others, but of course the FRM is the one that we need for this particular course. And what I want to do in this video is, number one, is just to give you an indication of what you can expect in your FRM Part 1 exam. And number two is to let you know what Edge Designations as a prep provider can do for you, and what our various products are that are available. Let's start off first and foremost, guys, with the exam itself. Number two, we will talk about, most people talk about themselves first, but we'll talk about the exam first as issued by GARP, which is obviously the holding body of FRM. And let's get going straight away. First and foremost, okay, we're in 2022. Okay, in the past, of course, I'm sure those that have been in the system for a bit will know that FRM was issued as a PBT. Okay, the administration was completely paper-based, and remember, based on that, both Part 1 and Part 2, okay, were held on the same day. Those that were very tough, okay, would write FRM Part 1 in the morning session for 4 hours. It was 8 until 12. They would have a cup of coffee, a bit of lunch, and then go and write the afternoon paper, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. 8 hours of writing FRM in a day. Wow. Okay. But remember, there was always risks with that strategy, in that if you never passed paper 1, okay, then they wouldn't even mark paper 2 of yours. Okay, so there was a bit of a risk in such a strategy. Most people, of course, just wrote paper 1, and then 5-6 months later wrote paper 2. Okay, we'll talk about if that particular strategy is still available to people. The answer to that is yes, and we'll describe how and why that is still so. Okay, post-COVID, not post-COVID, as a result of COVID, FRM as well as other designations went computer-based testing, completely CBT, okay, but no change to the timing of the paper. It's still a 4-hour paper, okay, in terms it's still an MCQ paper, both for paper 1 and paper 2, completely. It's the only one of the 3 big designations between CFA, FRM and KIA that is still completely MCQ. Both CFA and KIA, in their very last level, they introduce what we call constructed response and writing to the paper, not FRM. FRM, guys, also one of the only ones that have got 4 options, A, B, C, and D for all the MCQs. Okay, and that is what their paper is going to look like. You look a little bit further over here, guys. The paper that you will write is 4-hour, all done on a computer. It's 100 questions. Okay, and the maths is nice and simple. 4 hours, it's 240 minutes. Okay, and there are 100 questions. Okay, the maths is easy. 2 minutes 24 per question, giving you 144 seconds per question. Why does it appear that we're being so anal about per seconds, how many questions? Because most of the guys that write FRM, okay, battle with time. It's a time pressure, okay. You've got 100 questions, 100 marks you've got to get through. You've got 4 hours. It's tough. The timing is not overly generous, and a lot of people don't end up finishing this particular paper. Okay, we'll talk about 1 or 2 little exam techniques that I generally suggest to people as they go through the paper. Remembering, of course, guys, you've got 4 options, A, B, C, and D, and you guys have all studied probability as part of book number 2, quantitative analysis, I'm sure, by now at least, okay, and you'll know that when there's 4 options over there, A, B, C, and D, you've got a 25% chance, if you're guessing at least, of getting it right. we'll talk about how you maximize those your probabilities over there. Let's move down to the exam weighting, what's in this particular paper, and I'm going to take you to another sheet that I've got open here as well, just to give you a bit more detail on that as well. Okay, there are 4 books in FRM Part 1. Book 1 is FRM, Fundamentals of Risk Management. Also looks like FRM, but it's a specific topic, 20%. Book 2, Quantitative Analysis, also 20% book. And remember, guys, when we talk about a 20% book, what that means, 20% of 100 questions, of course, you can expect approximately 20 MCQs there, and of course 20 MCQs then for the Quantitative Analysis book. The second set of books, in a sense, are Book 3, FMP, Financial Markets and Products, 30%, and Valuation and Risk Models, book number 4, 30 and 30. And again, guys, 30 and 30 would translate then into 30 MCQs approximately for each of those books, thus totaling your 100 marks. Okay, so we can see the composition, where they come from. Just an important note in terms of the exam itself, guys, they don't go in any kind of an order. So, for example, your very first question of your exam may be from Quantitative Analysis. Question 2 might be from Fundamentals of Risk Management. Question 3 might go back and give you another QA question from Quants. Question 4 might be Fundamentals of Risk Management. 5 might be FMP, etc., etc. No order whatsoever, which again I think makes it a little bit more challenging, because you don't ever get set into a certain area. You're being shoved all over the show, and you've got to just try and make the best of that. Okay. We look at the exam itself. The very first exam writing is 7 May to 20 May. Okay. Second paper, as you can see over there, GARP has introduced just a 1 day, 6th of August. It's not a window. It's just a single day as we stand at the moment. That may change depending on the amount of interest and demand for that particular exam session. And last but not least, you've got 5 November to 18 November. Why do they work in exam windows like this? Well, the reason for that is because that's computer-based. So remember, you've got to get to a computer center that they are administering. Okay, they can't administer that many computers to that many people all on 1 day like they used to do with paper-based testing. Okay, so what happens now is you've got different when you register for the exam. Okay, you'll be given an exam date and exam time. Watch that time carefully, guys. Okay, and make sure that you arrive there on time. In fact, a little bit earlier, of course, and get yourself acclimated to your surroundings there. Okay, so those are your times. What's interesting about these times is if you ever look over there for the 21st of May. On the 21st of May, guys, that will conclude the exam window then for FRM Part 1. Okay, and what we mentioned a bit earlier is are you able then to write your various exams, okay, consecutively? In other words, can you write Part 1 and Part 2 in the same May cycle? Yes, you can. And the reason for that is because FRM Part 2 exam cycle starts on the 21st of May. As you can see, so the very day that FRM Part 1 finishes, Part 2 starts. So yes, you can write them both in the same exam cycle, but again, you run the risk of, if you don't pass Part 1, they don't mark Part 2. So it is a bit of a risky strategy, but easier than it was in the past when both Part 1 and Part 2 were on exactly the same day, and you had to write for 8 hours, which was a little bit intense. Okay. In terms of, we move on a little bit over here, guys, to some general points on the exam. The calculator policy, you can use a Texas Instrument, that's the BA2, either the Plus or the Professional. I've put over here, okay, the Hewlett-Packard 12C, okay, which is the commonly used HP calculator. But of course, if memory serves, guys, you can also use the HP, the 10B, which a lot of guys like as well. That's in the HP range. By the way, they're the only provider, FRM, that allows the 10B as well. CFA and Kaya only allow the first two, Texas and the HP 12C. So if you are planning on doing more designations, my advice is don't buy the 12C, the HP, because it's not allowed for the other designations. So to be safe, and by the way, most providers are teaching on the Texas Instruments. So that's obviously the better one then to go for. Let's have a quick look over here, guys. I just want to take you to the next little sheet that I've got over here. And what we've done over here, we call this our exam analysis. Okay, and what I mean by an exam analysis, what I do is I go back, okay, and as I'm sure you guys are aware, FRM makes available to you guys, okay, a practice paper, 100 questions practice paper, which is quite resemblant of then your final paper. Okay, I take that paper and I break it down. How do I break it down? Remember, guys, that there are 4 major sections, 4 major books. FRM Foundations of Risk Management, 20% book. Quantitative Analysis is your 20% book. FMP, Financial Markets and Products, your 30% book. And VRM, Valuation Risk Models, your 30% book as well. And what I do is I go through those particular books. I go through the exam and I break down, remember, let's say, for example, let's look at book number 1, which is Foundations of Risk Management. And we know that there are 11 topics over there, 11 chapters over there. And what I do is I break down the questions, the practice questions. And now, is this a perfect science? Of course not. And please don't use it as such. But what it does give us is twofold. Number one, it gives us a bit of a sense of where GARP is focusing their questions. Very careful if one has to look very specifically, which specific chapters tend to be asked more. And number two, what it shows us as well is that not all chapters are equal. Okay, for example, look over here. Okay, in book number 1, topic 2, topic 3, how do firms manage financial risk? Topic 3, the governance of risk management, weren't asked at all in the practice paper. Now, does that mean that they won't be asked in the final paper? No. Okay, but this is a guide. Okay, but it does also show us that you can see over here when we move to book 2, random variables wasn't asked at all. Non-stationary time series wasn't asked at all. When we move to book 3, fund management, there was no questions in the practice paper. Exchanges, central clearing. So you can see that yes, okay, if one had to analyze just completely coldly, one would say, okay, nice easy analysis, and yes, there are 100 MCQs. Yes, there are 60 topics, around about 2 questions per topic. But that's the wrong way to go about it. Quite clearly, GARP doesn't do it like that. And there are some sections that get more weighting, more questions than others. And some you don't even find where you think, well, you're expecting 2 questions per topic. Some there's none. Now, if there's none in some, well, where do they go? Okay, well, we'll see. Some topics in particular, and I'm just going to go through those very briefly, are given excessive amounts of weighting. Okay, now it's just important, just 2 points to mention over here. I am not telling you to leave sections out. Please don't take that as guidance, number 1. And number 2 is it's just what we've seen from GARP based on past practice papers. Nothing more than that. Okay, so it's not, and that's why you'll notice at the end, I'm going to give you my email address. I'm going to give you access to the detail onto our website, but I most definitely do not give you my personal address where I live, because just in case anyone takes this a little bit too seriously and only studies based on this particular piece of information I'm giving you, and then you want to come and find me after the exam. Okay, so we don't give out our personal address, of course. We look over here, guys, and I just want to just show you very briefly, if I had to like pick a couple sections, which, you know, as I say, I'm hoping everybody's got time to study everything, but if you don't have time to study everything, what would be a good idea then is to focus on some of the bigger sections. Let me show you what those are. Again, based purely on what we're seeing from practice papers. In terms of book number 1, MPT and the CAPM. Now, again, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand that, of course, in terms of book number 1, okay, MPT and CAPM is exceptionally important. Okay, so it's not really, I hope we're not teaching anything completely new. But what do you see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 questions from one topic. On average, there should be 1.5 to 2. There are 8 for that particular one. Another important one, learning from financial disasters. You can see there's 3 questions over there. Moving across to book 2, probability takes a nice amount of weighting over there, as does common, univariate, random variables take a big weighting. Okay, moving down to book number 3, using futures for hedging is important. Pricing financial forwards and futures, properties of options, properties of interest rates. We see some important ones. Swaps got a nice weighting over there. Just important, guys. A lot of people say, well, what is this book number 3? Financial markets and products. It's essentially, as you can see, guys, if you have a look at most of the topics, futures, forwards, options, swaps. There is a little bit over here, as you can see, guys, of interest rates. Okay, there we go. Properties of interest rates, corporate bonds, MBS, mortgage-backed securities. But book 3 predominantly is what we would call our derivatives book. Okay, and people tend to either love it or not love it as much, but let's at least know what it is. Moving down to book number 4, okay, a lot of stuff on VAR, guys, calculating, applying VAR, there's VAR, lots of questions over there. And then reading 56 also gets a lovely weighting, which is duration, convexity, and the DVO1. Okay, and then of course on the back end, the Greeks, option sensitivities get some nice weighting as well. If you have to say, well, what is in book number 4? Okay, there's a lot of fixed income over here, guys. You can see there's bond yields, there's interest rates, okay, pricing conventions, discounting, arbitrage, a lot of fixed income. Okay, there's some lovely sections on VAR over there, so it's VAR, fixed income. And again, if you look on the back end, guys, there are the derivatives. You've got the last 3 topics: binomial trees, BS7, the Black Skulls, Merton, and the Greeks over there. So book 4 is a little bit more varied, but you've got VAR, fixed income, and derivatives over there. A challenging book. Okay, a little bit of exam advice, guys. Your book number 1 is probably going to rank as your easiest book. That's the general comments we get from the candidates. So my advice over there is remember, it's a 20% book. Try and get as much of those 20 marks as humanly possible that you can. Okay, second bit of advice, guys, if there are certain sections that you're really battling with, and I'm just going to give you by way of example over here, guys. A lot of people say, okay, I just, this last one on quants over here, simulation and bootstrapping, I just can't really get that through my head. A bit of an exam advice, guys. Don't try, okay, and don't spend too much time on any specific topic. Remember, there's 60 topics, okay? So there's a lot of questions coming from all over the show. Let's say, for example, and I'm just giving you an example here, guys, you cannot get topic 24, simulation bootstrapping, into your head. You try it, it's not working, or you run out of time. Remember, guys, it's going to be 1 or 2 marks, not more than that. Okay, so sometimes it's better just to wave those marks goodbye and put your focus on areas where, first of all, it'll be easier for you to study, where you can get more marks, and where we see GARP is concentrating more marks as well. So study smart, don't necessarily. I had one student that once told me, it was relating to more a CFA student, but it was in the section, it was in a quant section, and the theory was called Bayes' theorem. And they phoned me after about 2 weeks after the class that I gave them on quants, and he said to me, I will be very proud of him because he has mastered Bayes. I said, what do you mean you've mastered Bayes? He said, no, he spent 2 weeks on it day and night, and he's now fully understood Bayes. What do I think? I said, I think that's a stupid strategy. Well, I think it was a stupid strategy. Why? Because you've got a couple months to study. If you're spending 2 weeks, on one specific little topic, which may be 1 mark in your exam, maybe 2, not a great strategy, guys. So the advice is work smart, okay, and hard. You need both, but not just hard. Okay. That then brings us to a little bit of a conclusion. I just want to show you one more little bit of exam advice, okay. You are going to find in some of these questions, guys, okay, GARP breaks their questions down into some very little short ones, okay. I often refer to those guys as a one-parter, okay. And in terms of that one-parter, guys, remember you've got 2 minutes 24 to answer each question. That should take you less than a minute, okay. So, and there's quite a couple of those within your in your exam. Okay, but remember, there's also some very long ones. Okay, so, and those, as you get to those can be 2 or 3 parters. And what I mean by that, guys, often you can't solve the second part. It's a staged process. You've got to first solve for the weightings, then you've got to solve for the etc., the return calculation, etc. And those can take you a little bit longer than 2 minutes 24, but that doesn't matter, guys, because you've built up time already on the shorter one. So just be careful of those, and don't get too excited when you see a very short one and you realize you managed to do it in super quick time. And don't get depressed when the longer ones may be taking you a bit too long. But of course, don't take too long on any question. Okay, there's a point where you've got to just wave goodbye to the question and say, I don't know. Okay, but don't spend much longer than, you can work out, you probably save about a minute odd on the short ones, which you can invest in a little bit on the long ones. Not much more time than that. Okay, in terms of other kinds of questions, guys, I'm just going to give you two little bits over here. There's going to be questions that you just don't know. Okay, and it doesn't make any sense, guys, to sit on those questions. What a lot of people do, they say, okay, well, we're just going to sit on this one and dwell on it and think about it. But if I had to say to you guys, okay, this is a question about bootstrapping, and you don't even know what bootstrapping is because you haven't studied that particular section. Okay, now it doesn't help you to sit on that question because it's not going to come to you. Okay, if either you know it or you don't, but there are going to be questions that you just don't know, and that's fine. There'll be a couple of those, guaranteed, in every paper. Two bits of advice. Number one, okay, there's the hand. You wave goodbye to them because you didn't know it. You wave goodbye. You say, I don't know you. Doesn't matter. Okay. Step one, you wave goodbye. Step two, you say thank you. Why do you say thank you? Because it gives you more time for the longer ones. Okay. So you buy yourself a bit of time. Okay. You say thank you. You don't get upset. That mustn't bring you down. Mustn't weigh you down because you've got 99 other questions that you still got to answer, or however many that you would know. You don't want to be brought down by the one that you didn't know or the couple that you didn't know. Okay, so ones that you don't know at all, you wave goodbye, you say thank you because you got more time to others. But what do? Now this is the strategy, guys. Remember, there's an A, a B, a C, and a D. I'm going to move to part number 2 as well. Let's say, for example, I'm hoping this doesn't happen to you, but at the end of your exam, you've got 10 questions still to go, and the examiner says time up in a minute. You've got 3 minutes to go, people. Please put down your pens. Well, it won't be pens, it'll be your keyboard, but you've got 10 to go. We do these two together, 1 and 2. Okay, what you do, guys, is let's say, for example, your name is Arnold. Okay, you just pick A's, don't you? Okay, so for all those questions that you don't know at all, you're going to pick an A, and you've got 10 to go at the end. What do you go? A for all 10. Okay, please don't go A, C, C, D, B, A, and try and, it's not going to help you. You've got 2 minutes to answer 10 questions, or part number 1, you didn't know them at all. Okay, don't try and guess. Okay, because if you push all A's, we know the rules of probability that you'll get 25%. If you push all B's, what will you get? 25%. Or C's, 20. So be consistent with those that you don't know at all, or those that you don't manage to finish. At least then, let's say, for example, there are 12 of these types of questions, for example, that you didn't know or didn't finish. 12 times 25%, you're almost guaranteed of getting 3 extra marks. And those are free marks, guys, because you wouldn't have got them anyway. Whereas if you go A, C, you may, D, V, whatever it happens to be, you may get 0, because if you don't guess. Okay, so a bit of an approach over there in terms of those. Okay, what I want to do now, guys, so that's your exam with a little bit of exam technique as well. Okay, of course, if you join our revision program, we've got a lot more detail, of course, into the revision of those and the exam techniques, etc., as we go through that for you. Okay, what I want to do just to conclude over here, guys, I've now shown you a bit about the exam. I said part 2, I want to show you what we are going to provide for you as Edge as a prep provider. Okay. First and foremost, let me just leave you with my email address up here. So you are more than welcome to contact me if you have any questions. Okay. There we go, .co.za. Our website is www.edgedesignations.com. Okay, so that's where everything is housed in the website. Okay, what do we do? And I'm talking now specifically, yes, of course, For the main program, we also offer a complete set of notes, live Zoom classes, videos, etc., etc. But if you're now watching this video, my sense is that you are more interested in revision and you are closer to the exam time. And yes, let me just introduce our revision programs to you. Okay, so we've got what we call our option number 3. Option number 3, okay, is what we call the revision and exam program. Okay, and what we do over here is we give you a complete set of notes. I've given you an example over here, guys. So it's a complete set of notes in PDF format, okay, and it goes to the entire syllabus again, all 60 topics from top to bottom. You can see over here, guys, here it's called summary. Okay, topic number 1, as you can see, I go through topic 1 all the way through to topic 60. What is risk? Risk management. We give you the building blocks of risk, etc., etc. Top to bottom, it's a PDF format. There we go. In addition to that, aligned to these notes, we've got around about, I think it's 20 odd hours of YouTube video that is linked to these notes. Okay, that again takes you through the entire syllabus. Number 3, I'll also show you a quick copy of that. We'll also, of course, give you a formula sheet as well. So I'm just going to switch pages over here, guys, and you can see over there what we do, of course, in terms of our formula sheets. You can see over here is, again, formula sheet for book 1. I'll give you 4 specific formula sheets, each one relating to each book. And we start off over here, topic 5. Why did I start on topic 5 for book number 1? Because the first 4 topics are quite theoretical. There were no formulas over there. Topic 5, of course, starts with the big formulas with CAPM and the modern portfolio theory. Expected return on a portfolio, variance of a portfolio, etc., etc. And you can see there are quite a couple pages of those. Okay, here we go. Okay, so just take you back over here. That's not the one that I wanted. My apologies. Okay, let's just take you here. Okay, and what we see over here, so just in terms of what we have available for you guys, that's the option 3, revision exam program. There's a final component of that, guys. Okay, and the final component is 3 times practice exams. Okay, and all of those, of course, are computer-based testing. We've got a brand new platform that we make use of. It's called Learn2, which is quite intuitive. And it goes through, it'll give you 3 practice papers. That obviously is a very good one to do closer to the time. Of course, I do suggest, guys, there is a GARP 2022 practice paper. My strong suggestion is you do that one as well. So by the time you finish, you've done our 3 practice papers, you've done the GARP paper, and there we go. Okay, in addition, of course, guys, as you go through our summary over here, I'll just try to find one for you, okay, I also put in typical exam questions over there as well for you. So as I go through the material, I present typical type exam questions for you that will assist you in your paper. Okay, so just to conclude over here, and what we've done specifically for the guys, a lot of guys were saying, well, can we have a little bit more of what we call specific things? We don't want this, we do want that. So what we've got is our main revision option is called option 3. Option 3, okay, it's called revision and exam. Okay, and in that, okay, what you will get is notes, you'll get videos, you'll get a formula sheet, and you'll get 3 exams. Okay, then we offer other options as well, okay, and the remaining options is you can buy just the 3 exams. If memory serves, that's option 6. You just get 3 exams. Okay. We've also, I think, got option 5, which is a complete set of notes. And that's the original material. If you want just a complete set of notes, we've got that for you. And then option 4 is just a Q bank of all the questions. Okay. So we try to make it as a la carte as possible. Just to try and give the candidate exactly what they are looking for. Okay, so again, that is us, that's Edge. Hopefully I've given you enough information about the exam as well, okay, as well as what we can offer to you guys. And just taking you back over there to the front, there are our details. It's my email address if you would like it, if you want to make contact. There is our website again, that's where everything is housed. you can purchase anything that you like on the website. And yeah, hopefully we have given you enough information to make to get you through this little quiz exam. Some people call it a beast as well. On that note, guys, I'm going to conclude. Russell here, wishing everybody a most successful exam. Wishing you all the best. Most of all, study hard, work hard. But always remember, guys, it's just an exam. It's not worth making you too crazy. Your mental health. Keep yourself well. Keep yourself healthy. And hopefully we will see everybody then on the other side in FRM Part 2.